today's Knowledge webinar, Collaboration with Envisioneer 17, Online Design to Desktop Power. Cadsoft, as you know, recently released Envisioneer 17, which has heavy lifting features, and today's Cadsoft CRO, Chantale Pitts, will demonstrate the newest features while discussing collaboration and maximizing BIM. As I mentioned before, Chantale Pitts is the Chief Revenue Officer of Cadsoft, and she has been in construction and design for over 25 years, and she has been a guest speaker worldwide, I guess. And in addition to this, she's the author of the textbook Introduction to Residential Design used throughout schools in North America. She's the best person to demonstrate Envisioneer 17, and you're free to ask questions anytime during the presentation. And now let me show you where you can find the Envisioneer 17 on the Knowledge catalog. Just search for Knowledge, and then for Cadsoft. I want to remind everybody that Knowledge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software. We offer all the choices, best service, and you can talk to a human being on the phone any time of the day. So check us out at knowledge.com. And now enough about us, and spotlight on Envisioneer 17 and Chantale. Take it away, Chantale.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I wanted to give you a little background first about Cadsoft and who we are, just in case you have never heard our name before. We began developing Envisioneer, which is a 3D BIM software package, back in 2001. And we released that in 2003, and we have become one of the world's largest licensors of home design and construction software, used both in the professional market, builders, architects, interior designers, and also with consumers as well. We've sold over 1 million copies of Envisioneer worldwide in 4 different languages, and we've won numerous awards with our technology. One of the key aspects of our software is we want to make sure that everyone works together from that earliest phase of design, so that at the very end, the results are pretty incredible in what you can do by just sharing. So from sales and marketing to your decor center, from quotes and quantities from that same model, your permit model drawings from that same model, redirecting those to engineering for any analysis that needs to be done, and your control systems, linking it out to POS systems or ERP systems, to your catalogs for all of your SKU numbers, framing, manufactured, and once the entire process is over, having that model for the finished home as well, so that you can renovate or use it for maintenance in the future. Today I'm going to demonstrate our Envisioneer software to you. As was mentioned, we just released version 17 this week, and we're happy with all of the new features that make collaboration and accurate and quick estimates very possible. So on my screen is one of the models that actually ships with the software. So if you go up to Open File in our software and go to Open the Samples, this is one of the samples that you can open and explore and walk around. So I thought I'd use it, so if you opened it up later, you'd have that familiarity as well. One of the key new features that we put into version 17 is building the walls out of components. So I'm just going to select on one of the walls and show you what that feature means and how it's going to help you design quicker and easier and more accurately as well. So when we look at the walls themselves and how the software looks at them, it comprises all of the different components of the wall together. So you'll get a 3D visual at the bottom, and you'll get a nice section view on the right-hand side that shows you all of the different components that make up that wall. So our first component is drywall. You can see that they highlight green. And then it goes into our core, which we did as 2x6 construction with insulation. And then our OSB sheathing, we put composite siding, and you can see that it only comes down halfway through the wall. And the bottom half of the wall is our stone veneer. Just by having that information and being able to make up a wall like this, you can see that we understand where the different components start and stop. Therefore, when we go to do the quantities, we know that they're going to be accurate because they're looking at the actual area where we're putting in those different components. We also, at the same time, when we're building out the wall, we put in trim, and that's on the exterior. You can see that there is a stone rail, and on the interior, we'll have our baseboard, any crown molding, and any trim around the windows that you'd have as well. So each of the walls can have different trim packages assigned to them. And when you look at the packages, you can assign that to the entire project through your document settings. So I would tell it that for this package, it has an overall trim package of our Builder Basic trim package as an example. And that would automatically apply itself to every wall in our project. And then individually, I can pick on walls and change those. So if I wanted to in one room or another apply crown molding, but not in another room, I can individually add different components as well and different trim packages to that. So it helps to ensure that not only does the appearance of the wall look accurate, but when we go to create a bill of materials, that it is calling on all of the correct materials as well. I'm just going to come up to our settings pull down menu, our tools pull down menu, and go to analyze and generate the project estimate. So when we're looking at a model, it analyzes the entire model, everything that you've put into it, and it breaks it down into a report. So you can see all of the different products that are going to go into to build this home. So it breaks it down right from your ground floor. I've got some joist hangers, some stringers for my stairs. I have my wall framing, that's headers, jack studs, plate material sheathing, our wall core, our 2x6 studs for that as well, and our framing for the upper locations and the lower locations as well. The roof finish materials right down to how many bundles of shingles we're going to need for that roof, how many bundles of hip and ridge cap are going to be required as well, and any ridge vent that we're going to need. So because we're looking at all of the 3D model as an actual 3D twin of the building that we're going to be designing, we can piece count everything that goes into it. And then by going to view, framing, display framing, we then can go through and see all of the framing that's involved in the model as well. And that's how it's actually going to go through and start piece counting everything. It looks at the headers that are being used and all of the framing materials that go into that. And that's all part of the settings that you establish with the model so that it builds it out accurately for you. When we're looking at the model itself and all of the different elements that go into it, if I put this back into a 2D view, we can run schedules of the entire model. So this particular model, it has a main floor layout of living room, kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. But on the second floor location, there is a suite up there, a separate apartment that has a kitchen, living room, and 2 bedrooms as well. So when we look at that model, we can start to do different lighting and layout, all the different electrical items as well. So we can put in all of our outlets. So if I go to auto place outlets, it will look at the different rooms and say, do you want some in this room? And it'll start to lay them around the different rooms based on the code that I told it to follow for this particular model itself. And we can also put in any of our lighting through there and electrical elements such as switches for it as well. So if I put in a switch by the door here, and then add in a light over our dining room table. Here, let's do that as a ceiling light, a chandelier, and grab this orb chandelier here. We can start to produce our wiring diagrams for that as well. And when we produce all of this information, we can start to put that into schedules as well. So with the schedule that we produce, I would just go up to Tools, Analyze, Schedule, and tell it that I want an electrical schedule. And then it lists all of the different items that I've put in. So when I was going around and automatically placing the outlets in the room, it put 28 of them in, and 2 switches and 2 plates in there. And then when I click OK here, it will produce the schedule that I can put off to the side, and it will mark the different elements. You can see the marks appearing here to tell me all of the different elements that went in as well. So that's something new with version 17, is the ability to put in that schedule and have that read out all of the different elements that are in there as well. So that's exciting for all of our end users. When we look at, and if I step inside here for a minute, I'm just going to go into the kitchen on the main floor. All of the cabinetry as well in here has different information set up with it. So we can look at the individual elements that are in here and look at their properties and place them individually. When I place in a single element like this door right here and look at its properties, it will want to know which way do I want that door to swing, left or right. So you can also switch and dictate where the door is swinging for our different cabinets as well in version 17, and that's a new one that we have put in. Another big key aspect of the software, when we're looking at all of the different elements that we're creating, when we're looking at the model itself and building it, we always build from our particular tools we have here: walls, doors, windows. Nothing's really changed there in this current version for those, other than we now do by components. So placing those objects and placing in a window, just left clicking, is the same as it's always been done. But we have increased our ability for integrations. So you've always had the ability to create and import different file formats. We have over 60 different import-export capabilities in the software, and that's something that's very important with BIM software, building information modeling. It's the ability to share that information. So I want to build my model, but I also want to share it with anybody else that needs to see my model and understand it. So maybe I want to send it off to engineering. So I can export that out to Weyerhaeuser, CSD, and MyTech, Boise, BC Framer, Keymark, and Simpson, so that they can analyze the 3D model. They'll absorb and open it up as a 3D model. If I have a kitchen design center that's currently using 2020 kitchen design, we can export out to that format as well. They absorb our model, they place the kitchen, and then we can import that right back in. We also import and export an IFC file. And with an IFC file, we recognize the intelligence of other modeling software, and we can import what they label as a wall, a window, and a door, and a roof and a ceiling, so we can build an intelligent model. Something new this year, and I'm going to click on New and start a new project that we've done, is we have the ability to bring in a project that we have started out in our Personal Architect Online. So Personal Architect Online is a quick and easy cloud-based design tool. So you can quickly come in and lay out a building. So I'll just grab one here. I'll just grab this first one maybe in the list here and open it. So you can go in and design a space. And when you're inside the space, you can take advantage of some artificial intelligence to lay out kitchen design, or you can click on walls and automatically place where trim is going to go, or tile and wallpaper. You can divide up a wall and do all of those different things. You can furnish it and add doors and windows into the space as well. So if I wanted another window into the space here. Let's just grab one here. Let's grab a size, maybe 30 by 36. We'll put one on the opposite side down over here. So we can quickly, easy model that. And then when I exit that out, I'll say save everything that I did with that. We allow you to collaborate with that software and share that file with Envisioneer. So here in Envisioneer, I can say open my personal architect online package. And there it recognizes, there you can see that file that we just worked on and added that window. That's that design package. So it will go back out to that model and look it over and bring it into a format that Envisioneer can read. So you can do your lightweight designs online and then bring them in to heavy hitting Envisioneer, which will allow you to do all the framing, put a roof on, and get your quantity information so that you can send that out to a point of sale system or an ERP system. So it'll bring in that model. And if I step inside that model, you can see that it brought everything, it brings everything in kind of whitewashed to begin with. So I can pick on material paintbrush and start applying different materials to that. So as an example, I could put in a wood floor, or I could scroll up here looking at cabinets, maple perhaps, and go to a light maple. We can make sure that all of these cabinets are light maple, and then maybe on the other cabinets, we'll paint those, and I'll paint those the Benjamin Moore color of Hail Navy, which is very popular right now for cabinets, and place that on all of our cabinets that we have as well. So you can start something off online, but then you can finish that off in an environment that allows you to do more than just the initial design. You can start creating more with that. Add countertops on it. If I take these walls, right click, select all similar, and say, I want to replace those walls with cement board siding. And up here under our building locations, I'm going to tell it that we have certain framing data set up to this. So I'm going to say in the infill here, we're going to be 16 inches on center with a double top plate. If there's any windows and doors, use our 2-ply span table. And if it is a non-load bearing wall, use the same and use a turn stud at our corners. So when I click OK, view framing, display the framing, we already have that framing started. So even though we created something quick and easy online, you can finish that up and do all the heavy lifting here in Envisioneer. Where can you use that? Where comes the magic of how those interplay, and what can you use that as a business case? Well, I'm going to take you out to a website where we've created a sample showroom. So you can present projects interactively. So do something up in the cloud. Your site visitors will come to your site, look at all of the standard models that you offer, your show homes. And if they pick on one of those, so I'll say this Declan as an example, view project, and you'll see that we have a fully rendered elevation because we can do renderings in Envisioneer. In here, we can see the model, and by clicking on any of these hotspots, we can see the 360 views. You can create in Envisioneer, if I put this back into a 3D view, render a panoramic view, and that's that 360 view. So everything that we have out on the sample site, you can do in Envisioneer. The floor plan that you have is just a top-down rendering, and then all of these 360 views are just separate 360 views. They produce, when you produce that 360 view in Envisioneer, it will give you a little HTML snippet code that you can put up on your site. And when you hit on those little hotspots that you've put on your website, it'll pull up these 360 views that you can create. So we can also expand on that. So we've created this rendering of our floor plan, so you get a really good look of a floor plan. It's not just a blueprint type of view. It's a nice high-end rendering of the elevation and a high-end floor plan view as well. And then we started adding options. Well, what if they wanted a 3-car garage? What if they wanted a sunroom out the back? What if they wanted the 3-car garage and the sunroom? And then it'll create both of those. And those, the way we created those are just by rendering those separate scenes so that I can see the garage in one and without in the other. So if I went back to the original view, it just calls up that rendering here. And when I click on this one, it calls up the rendering that had that. So very easily done. And you can do all of those. The tie back, the collaboration is, then you can click on this link called Edit This Design. And when I say Edit This Design, it opens up our cloud-based designer, and then you can see this design. So we've added different finishes in here, so I can look around the space and see it with different finishes without all of the furniture, so I can start to personalize it myself. So if you have standard house plans and show houses, but ultimately you realize that your clients are going to want to personalize that space, you can let them in to the cloud designer where they can add more information, such as another window. I'll add a window into the space and here. And then they can save that file and send it back to you. Because when I save this file, if I exit out of here and say save and exit, when I go into my list of my projects, then once they've edited that, they can share that. So they can share that file and send it to their friends and family to say, hey, can you help me? What do you guys think of this plan? I'm making all these different iterations of it. So right from your website, your showroom, not only can they see what the elevation is going to look like and see what the floor plan is going to look like, you can take them inside the model and you can stage it virtually and then give them the opportunity to edit that design as well. And that'll bring them back through. And once they're done with that plan and they've made all of those changes that they want, they can share it with you, and then you can open it up in Envisioneer and finalize the construction documents for it. Create all the framing that needs to be done for that changes to that they've made. Update the elevation sections and details that go with it. So if I look back to our barn dominium project, putting this back into a 2D view with that as well, I'll just slip that back into 2D. You can produce all of those different plans and have that create that file so that you're creating the elevation sections and details that they need to get their production drawings done as well. So all from starting a new model in Envisioneer, either by drawing the walls or by importing it through our personal architect, you have many ways to start a model and to finish off projects and to collaborate with lightweight design that's done in the cloud and share it with a more heavy-hitting, robust software like Envisioneer, so you can do all the framing and the working drawings that you need to once you have that design completed, so you can see the floor plans that you need to print out to get your permit, your elevations, everything that needs to be printed and documented to get that can all be done on your desktop where you have the extra power. Because right now, trying to produce framing diagrams and elevation sections details for larger projects, it gets bogged down if you try it in the cloud. But for lightweight design and walkthroughs and initial concepts, it's perfect. So you can collaborate between the two. What I'd like to do now is answer any questions anyone might have about Envisioneer 17 and any new features that we've put into this new version of the software. And if you have any sales questions, you can certainly talk to Barbara at Noveg, one of our distributors, to see how you can get a copy of the latest version of Envisioneer. If you do
Thank
have
you,
any questions,
Chantale.
yeah,
Yeah,
no problem.
this
If
is the
anyone has any
best
questions,
time.
raise their hand. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have questions, type them in. We are here for you. And Chantale is really available, and she's the best person to ask. So we'll stick around a few more minutes so you can type in your question if you have any. And also, if you're maybe not ready, you can always email me at barbara@noveg.com for any of the sales question. You can call us. Our phone number is listed on every page of our website. So we're here for you. I don't see anybody typing questions, Chantale. Um, so I think, no, that was, yeah, I think everything was clear. I'm impressed by the new features and improvement. I hadn't followed the Envisioneer in quite a few version past, so um, what a pleasant surprise. You guys really are thinking of everything and everybody.
Oh, thank
So
you.
great. If there's no question, I think I will take the screen back and show everybody where they can come and get their Envisioneer on novage.com. For some reason, today is glitchy GoToWebinar, so it won't let me transition to my screen. So there it is. Okay, so what I'm going to say to everybody is check Envisioneer out at novage.com. Give us a call if you have any questions. We have Envisioneer. We have a bunch of compatible products. So this is Novage is the one-stop shop for design software. Um, you can come in and out and go home with all the tools you need for your design. Thank you so much, Chantale, for this presentation. I want to remind you also that I've been recording this session and I will placing it on our YouTube channel later today. So even on YouTube, you can search for our Novage webinar series where we feature a bunch of software that we also sell. So thanks again for joining us today, Chantale, and everybody have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye.